Welcome to Straight Talk. Welcome to Straight Talk. Welcome to Straight Talk. Welcome to Straight Talk. Welcome to Straight Talk.
African President of the United States of America, President Barack Obama.
Good to see you. I just want to say everybody back home, right back at you. We appreciate you. You always give us straight talk.
And welcome to Straight Talk. Well, we're running a little late, but we're here. We were trying to wait for the guest, but he's coming. So until he gets here, we'll talk about some of the things that's happening that I'm concerned about, and I'm sure he will be concerned as well, and I'm sure you're concerned. The actions of our public servants. Listen to the words. Okay, the guest is kind of senile, so I have to tell him where he is. Hello? 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 Yeah? Now, why are you going to 113th and State? Go to 112th, come to 112th place. Wait, I'm on air. Don't do that now. Listen to me. Come to 112th place and State. Right behind Pepe's Mexican food store, the restaurant on the corner. Come on down to the open gate and come in. Come down to the open gate and come in. You guys will see. We got a very funny guy coming. He's an old friend, but he's well versed in police services. He was a Chicago police officer for many years, and he's disgusted with how the police department has changed, and the actions of police officers today is really disgusting to everybody who is concerned about the public, which should be the case of all police officers. You know, I took a job as a policeman because I was concerned about the safety of people. And I knew my job was to protect the innocent. Now, oftentimes you have a struggle or a rough time with a person that you're attempting to arrest, but you know you got the upper hand. So therefore you use humility and humanity. You do not go in with like a bully and stomp a man's brains into this concrete. That is barbaric. So until we come back with the guests, stand by your set for a second. We'll be right back.
International Detective and Protective Services, 1-773-675-8506. Over 20 years of armed security experience. The very best in shopping mall security, inventory watch, find missing loved ones, investigative open legal cases, community policing. Are you taking a vacation this summer? For peace of mind, you need our House Watch service, cheetah surveillance, and much more. International Detective and Protective Services, 1-773-675-8506. That's 1-773-675-8506. Call now.
Every now and then I get that feeling, and I've got something I want to say.
One of the great things about being a vegan is that the uniqueness of it.
And I've got to say it my way.
So gathered with me today are just a sampling of those vegans who have become loyal supporters of Soul Vegetarian.
Welcome to Soul Vegetarian Restaurant.
Golden's Tropical World. Come to Golden's Tropical World for tropical fish of all sizes, colors, and types, and other small animals like iguanas and birds from all over the world. There are beautiful tanks, pet supply needs, including dog and cat foods, and expert consultation. Check out Golden's Tropical World, 8611 South Ashland Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. Call ahead, 773-239-8809. Your pet shop.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
That's slow and blue.
Look, he's blushing.
Seriously.
Thank you, dear. Well, you're very supple. Just like I was at your age. Back then, I was a sex expert. Used to call me the buttered biscuit. I know about birth control, too. So you can ask me anything, baby.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
Have you had sex in this car yet?
Okay, we're back, and joining us on the program today, as I said before, is a longtime friend, person who's concerned about what is happening today in the Chicago Police Department, of which he grew up in. And I want to know his opinions, and I'm sure you want to know his opinion too. If you have any questions, you can call this number, 773-675-8506. Meet John Blair. How you doing, John?
Excellent, W.O. Happy to be here.
You happy to be here?
Yes, sir.
You happy you were able to find the place?
The record shows.
John, let's get right to it.
Sure.
What do you think about the actions of police officers today?
I think it's actually very dark in many respects because of the random violence that's attributed to many of them. To just simply show that they are in charge. It has changed dramatically, and I think that it has to be reversed. Hopefully the new superintendent can help usher in a new kind of wisdom, because no one should be invited to such harm as someone shooting them, kicking them, as the recent conflict with the police officer on the street was.
We didn't just kick him; we stomped his head into the concrete.
And he also kicked him. I mean, he came back and he kicked him. Which is
the man was out at that time.
Well, maybe, but I do know that it's so dark and ugly, it's inhumane, and should not be allowed to continue. I think the superintendent here, I'm hopeful at least, that he can take and change the whole psychology that policemen have pretty much, many of them have just said, well, I'm in charge. They kill blacks regularly, etc. Should not be. A whole new wisdom has to come forward.
Yeah, right. And I think the police superintendent has to set the pace in the mindset, or the brain set, you got me saying mindset, in the brain set of all the police officers, that it's a new day. It's not business as usual, where you can just take advantage of a citizen. You know, the citizens are your employers. You work for the public. You have an obligation to serve and protect the public. So why are you being brutal to this person? Well, he violated the law. That's what you're here for, is to keep people from violating the law, or arrest people when they violate the law. You don't violate the law by kicking them in the head, or stomping their head into the ground, or shooting them 16 times. You know, how would you violate the law when this person is already violating the law? That's double whammy.
You're correct. And what has happened is that outside of just even here in this city, across the country, there are seemingly increasing issues of police going beyond their authority and creating primitive priorities where they just disadvantage the captive person, like Sandra Bland, I think her name was. I mean, how did that happen, that she happened to be dead shortly after going into court? I mean, going into the cell police station. I mean, these things just don't happen just like accidentally.
And a police officer stop you for a traffic violation and ask for your driver's license, you give him a driver's license. But get out of the car for what?
Nasty.
Yeah, she didn't want to get out of the car. She's a lady. You know, you're a man out there. You know, just give me my ticket and let me go. He snatched her out of the car and threw her down on the ground and put handcuffs on her.
Everybody that does that, I think they need to immediately put them on. They can put on desk duty or whatever. Take their equipment and get rid of their butt.
Yeah.
It's a cruel type of reality we're seeing and experiencing more daily. I mean, not they, but too often many policemen take advantage of the power they have. And
they don't have that power.
Well, they have authority to do certain things under
they have authority to enforce the law.
But I'm saying, of course, but I'm saying that's what I reflect on. They have the authority to, but sometimes they go beyond that.
Way beyond.
And that's what we know is happening.
Yes.
I mean, it's dark, man. I mean, you begin to see. I had an experience recently, I mean, not that recent, about a year and a half ago. I mean, an old man died, 90 years old. Not an old man, but a 90-year-old guy died in 50th and King Drive. He had been at the paper stand there for about 20 years, next to the church. And so he had no next of kin here. He had a relative out of town who was a sister who was same age as he, 90 or 89. So we're in there getting the proceeds, me and the associate. She took off her work today, called me. I said, good, I'll come with you. And we're there for about less than a couple of hours, and the police arrived. And the guy that owned the site, I have reason to believe, was a policeman, but it didn't matter. But 7 of them. The paper car was a black car. I mean, it was a black gentleman, you know, police officer, but that didn't matter. Seemingly, he came in with a kind of posture of being sordid and ugly. And he and I had a dark encounter. And then the other 6, it was only 2 or 3 of them were kind of ugly. And I stood up to explain to them that I was an ex-Chicago police officer. I know the rules, I know the regs, and this man has no next of kin, and this is his place, and this is his principle. possessions, and he needs someone to deal with it. And plus, I've been down to the office of the court, not the court, but the medical health office, and what they did was wrote papers authorizing me and the young lady there to be in charge. And he said later, and I just smiled. Bottom line, that was a nasty scene for 2 hours. I called for a police sergeant, and the sergeant came, and they all went outside and left me inside, didn't tell me to come in. About half an hour later, they called for me to come in outside. I did so. The sergeant was as ugly as they were. Well, you know, you can't. I said, wait a minute, don't tell me what I can't do. I know rules and I know regulations. Don't do that to me. And he was swaggering at me. How are you going to talk with them? I called you. You talked with them for 20 minutes, and then I come and you're going to be arrogant. Not living. He was surprised, I gather. Well, you know, you're going to have to leave here. I said, sir, I'll leave here because I want to. Not because of authority that you're presenting, because you have none related to this issue. And so I went to the station. And upon going to the station, the female sergeant in charge there, she was as arrogant as he was, which led me to readily realize that he had talked with her likely, because I told him where I was going. And I'm there with the young lady and talking, telling her what happened. And she tells me, you go sit down. I said, madam, why should I go sit down? And why should you be so surly in speaking with me that way? I worked here where you worked at for many years. And she kept saying, well, you know, you're not going to. I said, you know what? Because I have somewhere to go, I'm going to sit down and you talk with this lady if you choose. I said, madam, talking to the lady was there. I said, do not go overboard trying to explain too much, because I have some question about the receptivity of the person. And I went and sat down. And it pissed me off because I'm sitting there at the, in the station there, in the open area. And I look on the wall there. There's a guy that died in my arms about 20 years ago, about 30 years ago, however long ago it was. And that really hurt me. That was 1968. He died. And in fact, I went there trying to rescue him. He was shot by some guy who lived in the project there. And wow, it's painful even now to think of it. But what happened was that out of roll call, I'm poking him with my stick, he poked me with the stick, and 5 minutes later he's dead. Mm. And upon seeing him there, I went down, tried to resuscitate him unsuccessfully. But the short of it was that we got the guy ultimately that shot him, and he was dead on arrival at the hospital. But it's so many dark situations that prevail. And some people don't give a damn, and darn rather, and as a matter of fact, too often there's carelessness when it's a minority figure. And I'm simply saying, even though it may have gotten better somewhat, it's getting worse at the same time. So that adds up to pretty much zero in some cases. I'm saying it's a new day, and no policeman, whether he's black, white, dark, or in the light, should be allowed to violate people's rights. And that's what I feel about it.
You're absolutely right. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Because, you see, you're sworn to serve and protect. Now, how often do you see a policeman serving the public? Well, how often do you see a policeman protecting the public? Now, the public consists of neighborhoods where, you drive through the alleys, you make sure that, nobody's sneaking around through the alleys of the neighborhoods that you're patrolling. Instead of seeing that, what I've seen are police officers up on the main street writing parking tickets. How's that serving the public?
Well, I mean, there's necessity for that action, course of action as well. The question is whether it's they broadly represent themselves in all areas, more or less, But sometimes.
Well, when I was in charge, I told police officers to serve and protect the public. You write a ticket if you see a necessity. Don't go looking for parking tickets to write at 2 o'clock in the morning, or 1 o'clock in the morning. you riding around finding, oh, this guy's parked in a part of his car is in the bus stop. Now you take 10, 15 minutes to sit there and write a parking ticket while someone is getting raped or robbed or beaten around the corner in the neighborhood. See, when you could be riding up and down these alleys, riding up and down the streets, you know, make a police presence so that the guy who does these things will know, man, you never know when a policeman is coming down the alley or going down one of these streets. So they'll be leery. But now they know the police are up on the main streets writing parking tickets. That's what I saw.
Well, I think while that is permissible and understandable, sometimes it's also excessive. Sometimes it's excessive, but not always. I'm simply saying that's all part of the conglomerate, the number of activities they have to deal with. I can understand that. But I'm simply saying if it's excessive, I've seen much excess in terms of receiving parking tickets. But I knew I was errant in a couple of things, so I just went on, negotiated, and dealt with it. But oftentimes there's extraordinary focus applied by some officers who are really just going through the motions.
Just going through the motions of getting 8 hours out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so but if it's an errant action, they have the right to deal with that. So I could not really challenge that with any great emphasis because it is permissible if you're in violation.
Sure, it's permissible, but you know for yourself. This lounge over here gives out perks to the officers, so they'll never come and write a ticket in a bus stop near his place. You see what I'm saying?
Well, if that's
if
that prevalence, if a party is there, the bus stop is supposed to get a ticket, and rightfully so.
But they're not going to give him a ticket.
Well, I don't know that that's true or not.
I know that's true.
Well, I don't know about the...
You know, I owned a lounge on Madison Street.
Well, I mean, but if you were there...
You know about that, right?
Yeah, I remember that, yes.
Okay.
But at the same time, you cannot refute the correctness of someone who takes a course of action that is permissible. I mean, if one is inadequately parked, I can understand that. I mean, some do right, some don't right. But if you park there illegally, you have the entitlement to be a recipient.
You have a right to write the ticket.
Right.
You have a right to write the ticket.
Exactly.
But my statements are not related to that. My statements are you have more of a duty, more of a responsibility to protect the public that you're paid to protect, more than writing ticket violations, which is revenue for the city.
I mean, I'd have to challenge that somewhat, because the fact is that it's part of the course of action. All the parts are.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. But I'm saying I would put my preference and my priorities on checking that neighborhood out first.
Well, maybe they do. Maybe when they issue the ticket, they do.
No, I'm going on personal experience where I know people's houses were broken into. I know people who were personally robbed in their house. A guy was robbed going into, a deputy sheriff was robbed going into his garage, and when they found out he was a deputy, they shot him. Okay, so all that's happening within the community.
Yeah.
While the police, the deputy didn't die. He said when he made a statement when he went down the alley. He said, "Wow," he said, "those policemen up there, they had 3 cars up there writing tickets right around his house. You know, this lounge up around his house there." He said, "Wow, all the police up here writing tickets rather than serving the community." So, you know, he laughed about it. He didn't think about it. He just laughed about it. He didn't know he was talking about himself. Drove to his house, which is a block or so down, went into the alley, pulled into the garage, and somebody walked in behind him. See? And he talked about that. He said, "Wow." He said, if those policemen were serving and protecting and riding around the community, these jokers wouldn't feel so free to just walk up and shoot somebody.
I'm a little ambivalent on that. I think all the points that are eligible can be served. Some may be excessive in it, obviously, and others are not.
What about a guy driving down the street behind a police car for 3 blocks? The police car is driving about 2 miles an hour on 79th Street, 4:30 in the morning. So finally, he pulled up to a street and stopped and just sit there in the middle of the block, not on the corner, in the middle of the block. So he said he sit there for about 5 minutes behind the car. He said, okay, maybe he's gonna be here for a minute. So he pulled around the car, went down the street. The car came behind him, pulled him over. He got out of the car and he said, yes, sir, can I help you, officer? He said, yeah. You went left or center? He said, well, I had to go left or center to go around you.
You was in the damn center.
He said, yeah, but you're not supposed to go left or center. You wait until we get through what we're doing. He said, sir, I rode behind you for 3 blocks, but you're doing 2 miles an hour. Now, when you pull up there and stopped and I sit behind you for 5 minutes, I think that was long enough for me to wait. I just
that was
I went around
seemingly
you. Right.
Dark and
foolhardy. So he said, well, give me a driver's license. You got a ticket coming, going left or center. He was giving me this, man, this is not fair. Not fair? You're under arrest. He said, for what? Disorderly conduct.
Please.
And he arrested the man for disorderly conduct.
That's ugly. That's ugly.
He had to go and post a bond. All right, when he told me about it, I told him, I said, okay.
That's ugly.
I said, first off, you can't be disorderly to the police. I said, was there anyone else around? He said, it was after 4:30 in the morning. He said, last time I looked, it was 4:30, but I followed them for 3 blocks. You know, so it may have been 4:35, 4:40 or something. So anyway, he said, so it couldn't have been any, you know, he said, I don't know. He said, nobody was there, man. He said, it was 4:30 in the morning. I said, okay. Then pointed out, ask the judge if you can ask the policeman a question. And he said, what do I ask him? Ask him, who were you disorderly to?
Yeah, that is silly.
And he said, and when he asked the judge he shook right ahead. He said, officer, who was I disorderly to? He said, well, there were 5 or 6 people standing on the corner there of 79th in Indiana waiting for a bus. And and you got them all excited. And the judge was sitting there at his desk.
Stupid.
The judge looked at the window. It was about 90 degrees, right? The judge said, wow, look at all this snow and hail coming down out there. Man, the weather's really messed up, isn't it? Wow, look at it. Then he looked around at the people. Everybody was looking at the window trying to see what the hell is the judge talking about. The judge said, now, if you can believe that there were 5 or 6 people standing on the corner of 95th and Indiana at 4:30 in the morning, you can believe it's hailing and snowing out there right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
So he said, case dismissed. So he dismissed the case.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the idea is just make up anything.
It happens far too often. As a matter of
Yes,
fact, the last
yes.
encounter I had, there was much of that same kind of posture expressed, and that's why I was very adamant when I went back to the police station. And the only thing kind of slowed me down when I looked around and saw Joe Furton, the guy who had died in my arms many years, 1968. But I tell you something, ugly it was, because I know the one sergeant likely called this party, didn't see it, but I understood it. And I understood that the action and the external attitude she displayed, she would have talked with the young lady there, because she was the one who filed for the papers, although I was the one that was on it to take care of the decedent's home residence, you know, until such time his property is moved or whatever. It was so nasty. And I looked at her, I said, madam, while I don't think you're correct, I'm going to follow your direction, and I will have a seat over there, but I don't like the posture you've expressed. I walked off. In other words, I'm saying I know myself. I don't take no stuff. At the same time, I'm not going to be unduly startling, but I'm going to say what I think is proper. It's ugly.
Well, you know, one of my security officers were arrested, and I got the message. He was arrested, a young man. you know, he had my gun in the trunk of his car. I told him, don't touch that gun. You know, he was taking it to a sergeant. I said, just drive it to the sergeant, and the sergeant would, don't even take it out, let her take it out. And, you know, she was going to train him on the site. Mm. And he said on his way there, police officers come in the same direction, I mean, in a different direction from him. He pulled over and stopped, pulled into a park. He looked around, they backed up. And, you know, by that time he had gotten out of the car and was walking across the street to a friend's house to get a jacket. He said it was kind of chilly, so he wanted to put get a sweater to put on. And they said, hey, come here. He's in uniform, you know. He said, yes, sir. He said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to work. He said, I'm just stopping over here to get a sweater. It's kind of chilly. He said, his friend was there. His friend was watching. So he said, okay. Where's your gun? He said, no. He said, don't you have a gun? And he, being smart, said, yes, in the trunk of the car. They went and pulled the gun out of the trunk of the car, charged him with having a concealed weapon. Because he wasn't supposed to have a gun. He didn't have a gun card. But the gun was not readily accessible. It was in the trunk of the car, so there was really no violation. But when they wrote the case up, in the preliminary hearing, the state's attorney read that, oh, yeah, even before that, at the bond hearing, when had to go before the bond judge, I went over to, the point I was trying to make, I went over to the station to talk to you know, find out what happened. And the woman that's called another lady, she was very cordial. She called another lady, she came over. Yeah, what can we help you with? I said, one of my employees was arrested for a weapon, and I would like to know, you know, find out what's going on. Can I talk? No, you can't talk to him. I said, oh, okay, maybe I can't talk to him. I said, I said, the watch commander around? You can't talk to him either.
She's gonna make the damn decision. I'm sorry, but how can she gonna make a decision?
I said, I can't talk to the watch commander? No. And in fact, your employee is in with the detectives right now. I said, oh, good. I said, let me speak to one. Mister, I don't know what kind of police you've been having experiences with, but this is the Chicago Police Department, and you can't come in here to see anybody. You can see this man tomorrow in court. I said, what kind of policeman? I said, miss, I was probably a policeman before you got out of grade school. Well, this is a different day. I said, I see.
That's what this sergeant was I referred to.
Yeah.
I mean, we only had a couple of words because I knew I would have really gotten to exchange. Same principal issue, basically. She wanted to have this non-police authority, party to speak with. I said, it's small. My name was on the paper as well, but she didn't want me to talk. Well, you have a seat. I says, what? Well, I have a seat over. I says, why do you have to say it that way? Now, I know I don't take no stuff, but I decided to just look at her and said, please, and walked off, you know. I know I don't take no stuff, but I also know how to change things if there is some of that reverse action. Some authoritarian figures become so, and how can I put it, so comfortable with that little edge of grace they have by having some police authority. They'll take advantage of anybody. Condescending, ugly, be rude. That is not necessary. You know, such as it was with that sergeant and 8 guys that day. One guy on the floor was there, said to me at the time of that incident, yeah, you know, you keep on smarting off, I'll just take you to jail. I said, you and who else, sir? With what authority? Now, I guess they say, who is this fool, you know? But the point, having been a policeman for, you know, a number of years, I understand process, procedure, and excess. And I knew what they were talking about was nothing. The party that dealt with it, the lead card, representative card, there was 8 of them, was one black fella. So it wasn't about race either. He was as distasteful as the others. Mm-hmm. So I'm simply saying, you know, it's not always about race. It's distaste and disgrace.
No,
and that's the ugly part of it.
This was a black woman.
Yes.
It was at the station.
Okay, same situation, yeah.
You know, just as nasty, and I said, wow. You know, and John wasn't over there anymore. You know, I knew the district commander, but he had just transferred out. And I said, okay. I called a friend of mine who works out of the area upstairs. I called him. I said, man, you know anybody over here that can talk to these stupid people? He said, man, those people are crazy. Those people are crazy. Go to bond court tomorrow. No, don't get yourself involved with them. You know, I think they come in with the attitude of McCarthy. You know, McCarthy got that New York attitude.
Yeah, he was special. He was invited to speak at one of my meetings, as a matter of fact, and he arrived actually about half an hour before the meeting. And of course, I mean, I wasn't there. I don't have to be there until the time for me to come on. But there are others there who would love to talk to him, etc. What he did was stay for 5 minutes and walked out. I said, what? And when I arrived with the food and everything, he was gone. I said, what happened? Why would he leave? He stayed 5 minutes, you know, and went on. I said, such arrogance. I grabbed the phone, called over there. I said, is the superintendent in? She said, well, no, he's not. I said, we're supposed to be at a meeting here. I said, I'll let you speak with his assistant. I told her what happened. She said, well, you know, he said you wasn't there. I said, you know what? His presence was to be there for the group. I says, and that meeting hadn't started. It was a half an hour before. I says, but I think his actions were very improper and offensive. As you can tell him, I said that, and I will speak with him at a different moment. And I was so hot, but it worked out well. I stood up and I just told him like I felt, all the people. That's what we call being honorary, foolish, and disrespectable.
Right. Well, see, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know John is also now the president of the Bronzeville Chamber of Commerce. Bronzeville Chamber of Commerce has encompassed all the businesses in the Bronzeville area, and he's the president, chairman. I think you...
14th year. This is my beginning in August, begin the 13th year. And it's been quite interesting. A lot of things have happened. And I founded it. There was none when I arrived in '04. And very interesting it was, because I said, well, I'm going to start one. Because I was previously Chamber of Commerce president in South Shore. And that was a number of years before. That was 1980. So that was quite interesting, you know. That's the oldest chamber in the city. But you know, the whole key is to become exposed and to interact and engage and connect with people and understand that it's all about helping someone, not just saving someone because of something disgraceful they've done. And you know, we as people, I don't measure blackness and whiteness. I measure wrongness and rightness. And I think we must understand that we have to collectively find a way to get along with each other to become stronger.
Absolutely.
Yes.
See, it's it's a lot of things, man, that we could really sit here all night and talk about the police department. But the most important thing is we as a people got to come together and utilize our strength. Our strength is much more powerful than we can imagine.
Yes.
Our numbers, our political power. Our political power can be, we could control this county. I mean, really control this county. We can control this state. We can do all, we can, you know, we actually can continue controlling this country. Okay? The plutocracy knew that. That's why they put Barack Obama up to run, because they knew that if they put Barack up, most of the blacks would come out and vote. Most of the blacks in the country would come out and vote. And not only the blacks, but the, you know, he said if you got one drop of black blood, you're black. Now, how many of those people are in America?
Well, yes.
There's a large percentage of them in America.
But Obama won, not, I don't think for that reason. I think he won because of capacity, tenacity, and the sagacity. He had the posture, expression, and the correctness. Whereas, let's face it, Jesse ran, a number of others ran, who happened to be minority persuasion, but it wasn't that kind of empowering kind of thing. This man was sent to go forward, and he did forward very well.
I think he did a marvelous job. So far, the best president we've had. So
yes, that's exactly right.
And he's not a black man, he's not a white man.
That's just what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Both his parents, his father was black and African, and his mother was white. But you know what? It doesn't matter that much. It matters what are you taught. His mama taught him something. You know, it wasn't about don't deal with black folks.
No, my point. You know? My point was.
Yes.
My point is. You're right. You know, she couldn't have taught him that because she dealt with his father.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the point is this: most of the people who were mulattoes, I say 100% of them voted for him.
I don't know about that. I mean, unless there's some field work.
Man, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. You know, I went around the country, different locations, I should say. When he was running, we went and campaigned for him and canvassed for him, and saw the excitement of people. And well.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that. He had the magnetism, the certain kind of appeal that really make people say, "Wow, yes." He knew how to stand up and get up. Remember, he was also, not the Chamber of Commerce, but he was involved with leadership area in the communities as well. His office is 1 block away from me on 71st Street.
Right. Well, you know,
very interesting.
When he made the announcement, I was in Springfield. I captured that for the show. And when he made the announcement, I mean, it was cold that day, man. It was so cold that day that I couldn't move my hands. They were frozen.
They thawed out. You heard that? What was happening?
We were frozen.
Yeah.
So I put my hand in my pocket and between my legs and every place, standing. You know, we're standing up waiting, and Barack is inside someplace. And I said, "Man, I hope Barack hurry up and come out here." And I said, "I hope he does. I hope he doesn't do one of his usuals and talk all day."
Go out the back door. Yeah.
No, and talk all day. Just say I'm running for president and get off the stage.
Yeah.
And this girl standing next to me said, "I don't care how long he talks. I just want him to talk, and I just want to hear him. I love hearing him talk." And she was a news lady from New York. I mean, from St. Louis. I said, "Okay, let me have the mean coat you got on." Because you know me, I don't wear a coat.
Yeah.
I don't wear a coat.
But he was always straight up.
He
was always straight up.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you know what I mean? And that's what I really liked about him, as a matter of fact. I mean, when he first ran for senator, it was a kind of a special thing, and I thought that was very interesting. He won that position. He was running for president. We connected, and I liked it. Like now, he connected me with a couple of issues related to the new administration and whatever, and I kind of work with it. And I like it because he remembers, he cares, he shares. I remember when you would engage with him, he was always very open and expressive and enterprising and interactive, you know. Always, you know, and that's what I liked about him. He wasn't put on. He didn't put on.
The most important thing is he endorsed Straight Talk.
Always
get the straight talk.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I remember. He was straight up. He said, "Hey, WL," you know, he was straight up. I mean, right today, I get letters quite regular where he communicates, interacts, and says, "Listen, you can do this better." And I said, "Okay, good." You know, but I've always liked him because he's always remembered who he is, and where he came from. And it wasn't about black and white. And so he was dealing with wrong and right.
But see, that's what bugged me about. A lot of folks say, he's not doing anything for black folks. That's what you mean, he's not doing anything for black folks.
Yes.
He's doing something for America. Aren't you an American? Aren't you a part of this country? Everything he does for Americans. He said, this is for white folks, this is for black folks, this is for Mexicans. Well, look what he did for the Hispanics. I said, what did he do for the Hispanics? He got immigration laws. That's all you mean. They don't have immigrants coming from Ghana, South Africa,
yes,
Jamaica,
thank you,
Haiti. You know, I can name a number of black places where we got immigrants in here from all these places.
The locales, yes.
I mean, black ones. So how you can say, just because the Mexicans pushed him, his father is African, remember?
Thank you. And so, go ahead, continue.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, you know, I just wish that we could get our people to really start using their brains.
Oh, there are a lot of haters now, even still yet.
Yes.
With him. I mean, they didn't all go away because of his success. but he's never been arrogant in his posture as much. He knows how to deal with people without creating a big major backlash, you know, and that's important. You know, dealing with the people, you know. Because I always admire when he interact with you, he engaged with you like hey, he loved what you were dealing with, and he's a good guy. And I think now with his daughter going to Harvard this season in September, whatever, I mean, he's going to maintain.
I think she's going to take the first year off.
Who told you that?
I mean, that was in the news.
When? How recent?
It's maybe, a couple of months ago.
Oh, negative. I'm saying that this was just 2 weeks ago. It was on TV that he's going to maintain residence there in New York as well, wherever, you know, but his daughter's going to same school. He went to Harvard, and everybody, and I know I almost cried. I was so happy for it. So it's final. Yeah, which is
you know, Harvard advocates that you take the first year off.
Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that's where she's going.
Yeah, she's going there.
I mean, she's going there now. I mean, she'll be rolling for September, but she's going early. They stipulated that on the air, which was just very interesting.
Bet your dime.
I dare not do that, but I can certainly.
You won't bet a dime?
No. What I have is certainty, and the certainty allows me to know what I speak of.
Okay.
I've enjoyed this, WL. I really have, you know.
Well, it's
very good,
it's
as always.
Fun. And I'm sure the public got a lot out of what we were talking about. And see, we talked about those things in order to infuriate your brain so that you will say, let's get together and do something about this. See, you are the taxpayers who pay the salaries for the police officers. You're the taxpayers who pay the salary for the mayor, the alderman. All these individuals are your employees. See, we call them the honorable and the officials. That don't mean shit. They're your employees. Am I lying?
Oh, no question. Absolutely no question, you know. We got to find a way where everybody gets along, goes along, and finds some measurement of joy in being different. You can't just say, okay, I want to be A because I am A in color, B in some other thing. We've got to work together as a family to be successful in life.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm excited about, the opportunity. And I know when I get all these notices from Washington, I said, this is interesting because he never forgets. He's right there working with the people. That's necessary, man. I'm just proud to say that, he's come this way. It's a long ways from where he came from. A long ways. So it's going to be a new blessing. It's going to be a new blessing, I'm sure, in this community of Chicago soon. We got to change. The new president, new mayor, well, the current mayor, you know, who knows what's going to happen, but I'm telling you, this is going to be a whole new season these next 8 to 16 years, you know. And lastly, Hillary, what do you think about her posture and expression? Her being able to be president, you think it's great?
It's time.
Not great. You think it has a great opportunity to be successful, her candidacy?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I feel the same way.
It's time. See, it was time for a black, now it's time for a lady.
Mm-hmm. That's right, exactly.
We are out of time, and we appreciate you joining us here. John, what would you like to lead the audience with?
Well, I think in this new date and of time and circumstance, it's time for us all to come together, work together, and be a part of the whole new movement in Chicago. I think it's great. We have to hold hands and go back to the old days and say, hey, we're here to change things. And I think we can do it effectively if we just continue working together.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure. God bless you, my brother, as always.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you this time again tomorrow night with Coy Pugh. He's going to come and tell us about what's happening in Springfield and how we're going to eventually straighten that out. You know, Coy is now a lobbyist, one of the most successful lobbyists in Springfield, so he still knows what's happening there. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow with Coy Pugh.